Signs of a major prisoner exchange between Russia and Belarus on one side and the United States, Germany, Slovenia and Britain on the other, multiplied on Thursday, but there was no official confirmation of what may be the biggest swap since the Cold War. Fox News reported that jailed Wall Street Journal reporter Evan Gershkovich was set to return to the United States as part of a prisoner exchange possibly later on Thursday. Flight tracking site FlightRadar24 showed that a special Russian government plane used for a previous prisoner swap involving the United States and Russia had flown from Moscow to the Russian exclave of Kaliningrad, which borders Lithuania and Poland before heading back to the Russian capital. Pervy Odell, an association that specializes in defending people in Russian cases of treason and espionage, said the flight could mean that a prisoner exchange had taken place on the Polish border. Reuters could not confirm that. Paul Whelan, a former U.S. Marine, and Vladimir Kara-Murza, a Russian-British dissident both jailed in Russia, have suddenly disappeared from view, their lawyers said a day earlier, after at least 7 Russian dissidents were unexpectedly moved from their prisons in recent days. On Thursday, there were unconfirmed Russian media reports that another dissident, opposition activist Vadim Ostanin, had been removed from his Siberian prison and moved to Moscow. Online Russian media outlet Agentstvo has reported that at least 6 special Russian government planes have flown in recent days to and from regions where prisons holding dissidents are located. Meanwhile, a lawyer for Alexander Vinnik, a Russian man held in the United States, declined on Wednesday to confirm the whereabouts of his client to the state RIA news agency until the exchange takes place. But the lawyer, Arkady Buk, was quoted by RIA as saying he'd been told by lawyers representing people imprisoned in Russia that they were en route to unknown locations. RIA also reported that 4 Russians jailed in the United States had disappeared from a database of prisoners operated by the U.S. Federal Bureau of Prisons. It named them as Vinnik, Maxim Marchenko, Vadim Konoschenok, and Vladislav Kliushin. The U.S. is also holding at least 2 other Russian nationals, Vladimir Dunayev and Roman Seleznev, convicted of serious cybercrimes, who could also figure. The Kremlin has declined to say whether an exchange is looming, as has Russia's embassy in Washington, and there has been no comment from Western countries. Such exchanges are typically shrouded in secrecy until they happen. Dissidents inside Russia, whose supporters say they have been told that they have been suddenly moved in recent days, include opposition politician Ilya Yashin, human rights activist Oleg Orlov, and Daniel Krinari, who was convicted of secretly cooperating with foreign governments. Others to have abruptly gone missing in the prison system include German-Russian citizen Kevin Leek, convicted of treason opposition activists Lilia Chanisheva and Ksenia Fadiva, and anti-war artist Sasha Skochelenko. Ivan Pavlov, a prominent Russian human rights lawyer now living in Prague, who founded Pervy Odell, said the disappearance of so many people with similar profiles suggested the authorities were gathering them, probably in Moscow, for the exchange. He said President Vladimir Putin would need to pardon them before their exchange, a necessary formality. Media outlet Important Stories drew attention to the fact that Putin, according to a government website, had signed a number of secret decrees on July 30th, which it said could be prisoner pardons. In December 2022, Russia traded basketball star Brittany Griner, sentenced to 9 years for having vape cartridges containing cannabis oil in her luggage, for arms dealer Victor Bout, serving a 25-year sentence in the United States. The biggest prisoner swap since the Cold War took place in 2010, involving 14 people in total. The West sees detainees as political prisoners. In the West, the dissidents are seen by governments and activists as wrongfully detained political prisoners. All have, for different reasons, been designated by Moscow as dangerous extremists. The exchange is also expected to include 2 journalists. On July 19th, Gershkovich was convicted unusually swiftly on espionage charges that he denies. He was handed 16 years in jail, and Russia has already confirmed talks about his possible exchange. Alsu Kurmasheva, a Russian-American journalist for US-funded Radio Free Europe Radio Liberty, was also convicted in a secret trial the same day and sentenced to 6.5 years, accused of spreading false information about the Russian army. She denies wrongdoing. Other U.S. nationals behind bars in Russia include former schoolteacher Mark Fogel, convicted for possessing marijuana, which he said he used for medical reasons. In Belarus, meanwhile, President Alexander Lukashenko, a close Putin ally, on Tuesday pardoned Rico Krieger, a German sentenced to death on terrorism charges, again with unusual haste and state media coverage. Among those Moscow has signaled at once is Vadim Krasikov, a Russian serving life in Germany for murdering an exiled Chechen-Georgian dissident in a Berlin park. A Slovenian court on Wednesday sentenced 2 Russians to time served for espionage and using fake identities, and said they would be deported, the state news agency STA reported. A move a Slovenian TV channel said was part of the wider exchange. Reuters could not confirm that.